Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is JoJo. I cover seasonal anime here on the channel, and I previously covered the first season of Ascendance of a Bookworm, and I am very happy to be back for season 2, and we are here to talk all about the second season's premiere today. But before we get into that, I do want to let you all know that if you would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Ascendance of a Bookworm video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I'll be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. So then, what do you say we go ahead and jump right into things? This is going to be a long season, and I don't mean that as a negative. It's just, you guys may remember from last season, I likely said this at some point. I don't like kid characters. I don't know why, I just find them annoying. They usually are like the characters that need to be rescued or like cared for and all this nonsense. And to me, that usually kid characters kind of detract from the plot. I think even as a kid, if I saw another kid in like anything, whether it's an anime or a movie or whatever, I'd roll my eyes because it's like, oh great, they're the ones that need to be protected by the actual heroes. But Ascendance of a Bookworm had a real tenacity with their kid characters, and I feel like it didn't, like, to the point where it didn't even really matter what the character's age was. They still behaved like characters I was interested in actually following. I wanted to find out what happened to characters like Mine and Lutz and all them. And I will say, like, that is an argument that people have leveled at the show, is that the younger characters don't act like younger characters. And I can understand that argument because Mine at the very least is an adult in a kid's body, you know? She was reincarnated, it's an isekai. But characters like Lutz did act older and more mature than they actually were. And I know that's an issue for some folk. I don't care because I don't like kids, but like if you had that issue, it's carrying into season 2. That's still a thing with the new characters, Gil and Delia. That's still very much a thing. The kid characters do not act like kid characters. Well, Gil does, but Delia doesn't. We'll get there. This first episode is mostly spent basically getting us used to this new normal. The end of last season was obviously a big, like, bombastic conclusion and really sort of cemented the idea that Mine had achieved her goal. She will soon be surrounded by books. Finally, she gets to be a bookworm again, and it seemed as though all was well in the end. However, this season opens up with Mine's new apprenticeship and basically demonstrates how this new normal for her is going to be affecting not only Mine's day-to-day, but also the day-to-day of those surrounding her. Which is, it's bittersweet, because on one hand it means that Mine, like, she's safe. We don't really have to worry about Mine, which is interesting because the show is so good at nailing that concern for Mine, even though we had the flash forward in season 1, so we know she's okay, but they still managed to make the devouring this, like, really intense, scary thing. And that still carries over here. It's still very much like you're happy that Mine is going to be safe, but at the same time you're sort of like, at least for me, I'm concerned that we won't get to spend as much time with characters like Benno and Lutz and Gunther and all them, because those are the characters that I'm interested in, like Otto and stuff like that. Otto's having a kid, how interesting. Like those are the characters I'm interested in. I'm concerned that with Mine's new position, we won't really get to see them as much. And the characters that they're replacing them with, it's early days for them, it's early days. I will say Ferdinand is just as lovable as before. I know some people didn't like Ferdinand. I do. He's kind of my thing, but he's kind of my type. But like, so I'm into Ferdinand, right? Like, I'm okay with Ferdinand. I'm excited to follow him. The head priest continues to be a sleazeball, and the new characters, they're brand friggin' new, right? So, like, they'll grow on me, but they are basically portraying the new characters as the, I suppose, first true antagonists, at the very least, first physical antagonists that Mine is going to be facing in Ascendance of a Bookworm. Since in season 1, the real main antagonist was just the challenge of trying to make books. Like, that was the real quote-unquote antagonist. There wasn't really an antagonist, it was just Mine's goal was her obstacle. Now she has, like, literal human obstacles, human antagonists that she's going to be contending with, and they do a good job at making them not very likable, except for Fran. He's a little bit likable, but the other two, oh my god, I hate them. But I do think that's the point. So again, it's not a knock. It's just like, yeah, the show made me really not like those two characters. And good, that was the job. But oh man, I really don't like them. And I really don't like the church either. But at the same time, like the church, visually speaking, is fascinating, right? Because it's a totally new environment for our characters to inhabit. So I'm really excited to explore the church and see like what the dorms look like, what the library, like get a better view of the library. Because we have seen the library before, but now we'll be able to get a better idea of the library. Like maybe see like the courtyard, different halls. I would love to see like get more lore on the series. You guys may remember from season 1 that I thought the lore of the series was cool and I wanted to explore it. I'm excited to see what ultimately happens with the church, but I will say, like, when they show like oh, what, the church is actually greedy and really judgy for no reason. What a shock. Oh my goodness, a organized religion is kind of shady. No way! Wow, okay, that's the only shots I'll take for the rest of the season, I promise. And of course, with a new season and a new set of characters, I had to do it to him. We had to talk about a bit of color time. It's everybody's favorite segment, it's color time. Or in this case, I guess it's design time. I should maybe make it design time, because color time also talks about the characters' outfits, so I suppose design time is more accurate than color time. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, and you're new here, first of all, again, welcome. I hope you're enjoying the video so far, and check out the other stuff on the channel if you'd like. Our season 1 of Ascendance of a Bookworm videos. But basically what I like to do here on the channel is recently, like this is a more recent thing, but on the channel I've been really interested in like character design lately, and I like trying to figure out what the character designer and the color designer are trying to tell us about said characters without really having the characters spell out the backstory for us. And so far we are introduced to 3 new characters, all of which have similar and yet unique character designs. So I thought it might be fun to kind of dive into the character designs, a little bit about the color choices for said characters, and try to figure out what it is that they're trying to tell us. The gray robes being a pretty easy first thing to tackle. The gray robes are basically just to show that these characters are a blank slate. They blend in with the other gray robes in the church, because the church is mostly filled with, from what I can gather, a lot of characters in gray robes, right? They're sort of like the orphan characters from what I remember. Most of them are orphans, stuff like that. The blue robes tend to be nobility, and that's kind of the idea. Like, the idea of the gray robes is that they are basically there to serve. They are like sort of just like meant to be blank slates that the church can use as servants. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like, that's why they're clad in gray as opposed to something as like eye-catching as blue. So all 3 of our new characters obviously are decked out in these robes. So I'm gonna basically go from character I like the most to characters I like the least in these new character little analysis. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Fran. Fran's purple hair is actually a really solid choice on the color design aspect, because purple typically, and it's not so much purple, it's more of like a lavender color specifically. And lavender in particular really represents a sort of like wisdom. It's a very wise color. It's sort of seen as like a more mature version of like the other shades of purple and pink. It's a more wise, more mature sort of understanding type of color. So I do feel like that actually might serve Fran properly. Fran does seem like he is sort of wise beyond his own speech, because Fran doesn't really talk a whole lot, and when he does, he's basically just praising Ferdinand. He's not really talking about his own thoughts and ideas, and I do feel like maybe that's an indication that we'll see that Fran actually is quite wise and maybe has more insight than he's letting on. Likewise, the lavender hair could also sort of indicate a nod towards the religious nature of the church, since in Christianity, at the very least, lavender typically is associated with Easter. It's a very Easter color. I believe the priests wear lavender colors. I don't remember around Easter, but it's something like that. So again, like lavender, solid color, solid choice for Fran. The brown eyes could indicate a sort of stability and maybe a sense of predictability as well. Like, he does seem like he can be Mine's rock, like Fran can be the one that Mine can sort of talk to, and he can just be there to sort of absorb information. And again, maybe that the purple hair might indicate that he is, again, has more insight, is wiser than he's letting on. So his purple eyes, since the eyes are the window to the soul, it might indicate that he is the stable one of these 3 new characters. And then there's Gil, who basically, like, I wrote down blonde, but his hair is like blonde. Like, it is bleach blonde. Like, it is almost yellow, his hair, which is fair because the characters in this show obviously have like crazy hair. It's a specific plot point that the character's hair is like interesting, right? I'm more than okay with characters having like the anime hair in most shows, and specifically in Bookworm, since they outright address it. So Gil having this sort of like really bright bleach blonde hair, not a problem at all. And it's actually, again, much like Fran, very suiting, since it sort of indicates a youthful, if not immature sort of sense to him, especially promoting a lot of anxiety. Yellow is a very, like, yellow and blonde, they're sort of like anxiety-inducing colors, especially yellow. And again, Gil's hair is so bright that it's basically yellow. It's like a light yellow. And yellow is already a very, like, overwhelming color. It's very, like, when you think yellow, you typically think of like caution, you know, like it's an anxiety-inducing color. And I feel like that, again, very fitting, because Gil is a very anxiety-inducing character. He's loud, annoying, and slightly immature. And the purple eyes really indicate that. They indicate that he's a sort of emotionally unstable character. He sort of says what he's thinking and what he's feeling before actually like thinking about the words that he's saying. He's a very emotional dude. And I feel like that's really the sense that I'm starting to get with Gil. I feel like his purple eyes being the window to the soul are basically saying that he is ultimately going to be a pretty empathic character. I feel like he'll probably grow into being a little bit more understanding of other people's emotions as he slowly comes to grips with his own. I could be way off on that, but that's just my theory. And last up, we have Delia, who is my least favorite. She has dark red hair. It's almost sort of like a Ferrari kind of red. It's like a really dark red. And that can indicate a couple things. In particular, I assume with Delia, it indicates a sense of confidence to borderline cocky. And that paired with her sky blue eyes, it kind of pushes over to cocky, since both colors typically indicate a sense of like courage and confidence. So I would say that the fact that it's like overwhelming, like both colors indicate a sort of like confidence. I'd say that Delia is a little bit overconfident, maybe a little too cocky, and you definitely get that from her personality. And then it also sort of indicates desire, right? Like you think of fire, desire, you know, like red hair. That red hair definitely indicates a sense of desire. And it's probably the grossest part of the episode, because again, they talk about like concubines and shit, and it's really squicky when they're friggin' 8. So yeah, I don't like that. The sky blue also could indicate a sense of like predictability, almost to the point of like stubbornness. And yeah, I could definitely see that. She outright declares that she is the spy, so you know what she's going to be doing for the rest of the season. The fact that she outright says it, it makes herself very predictable. You know her actions going forward. And that stubbornness is probably going to remain for most of the season, I think. She might grow, she might change. She could be like Gil. I expect Gil to grow and change. I expect Fran to kind of like mellow out a bit. Maybe Delia does the same. I'm not too sure, but her character design tells me, like, just based off like the colors and what they sort of inspire emotion-wise, I'm not so sure. I feel like she might remain sort of antagonistic for most of the season. But on that note, everybody, that's basically all my thoughts on this premiere for Ascendance of a Bookworm Season 2. I am very, very excited to see where things go. Again, it might seem like I'm sort of like, on these new characters, but it's only because A, they're brand spanking new, and B, they're sort of annoying, and they're meant to be annoying, so like, I get it. So again, we're just gonna have to wait and see. I am super excited to find out more about the church, super excited to find out more about the lore. Yeah. I don't know, I'm excited, and I hope you guys are excited too. And that's gonna do it for today's video, everybody, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then by all means hitting that like button and leaving a comment down below is a great way to help out this channel, as it pleases the almighty YouTube algorithm, so if you choose to do so, kudos to you. And if you're feeling extra supportive today, you can go ahead and check out all the links in the description. One goes to my Twitter, another one is to our Discord server, another one to our merch store if you feel like grabbing yourself a mug, and of course, our our Patreon page. And speaking of the Patreon page, I do want to give a big thank you to those of you in the T Squadron who support this channel month to month. Let's go ahead and do the Earl Grey shoutouts. Izevi, Andrew W., Branson C., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Digger the Fox, Dominic G., Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria T., Marshall B., Mater, Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G., Sakochi, The Suavest Orange, Tristan G., and Veridon. Thanks so much for your continued support over on Patreon, everybody, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page. That is a huge way to support the channel. And again, be sure to check out the other stuff in the Discord as well. Go join our Discord. It is now public. You can all join. Everybody can hop in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter if you want me to ramble at you even more. And until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.